It's gone mega viral. And I feel bad for the short dudes out there that are going to have to hear this, but you all know it to be true. We always talk about like the privilege pyramid, or, they always want to say, oh, white privilege. You and I, Buck, I think are in agreement that the number one privilege in America today is pretty girl privilege, right? If you are a good looking woman, you are automatically elevated above everybody else, no matter what your gender is, no matter what your wealth is. That, I think, is the number one privilege in America today. I would say that the thing that men are most judged for is actually more significant and more anti-privileged than anything that women are judged for, and that is what the data has shown on the dating apps. Women will not date short men. And I'll give you an example of this from my own life. My wife, Laura, we've been married for 21 years, almost 21 years. I asked her once, she's 5'2". Let me repeat that. She is 5'2". I said, would you have dated me if I were 5'8"? She said, no, probably not. She's 5'2", Buck. She could wear heels, and if I were 5'8", I would still be clearly quite significantly taller than her, unless they're the craziest heels ever. I'm 6 foot. All right. So I'm in good spot there. But then you confessed that your own wife, who you just had a baby with, confessed to you about height situations.
I was the bottom of the acceptable. I am also 6 feet, by the way. Clay and I are the same height. I mean, depends on how swooped my hair or his hair is on any given day, but we're within certainly like a half inch of each other, and we stand up back to back. We're both about 6 feet tall, okay? My wife has told me, she's like, yeah, you were basically like, it was like I was, when they do the tall enough for the ride at the amusement park? I was just barely tall enough to date. And
so she almost eliminated you for not being. How tall is your wife?
Oh, she's 5'3". I mean, her and Laura are basically the same size.
In other words, yes, my wife's 5'2", yours about 5'3". I understand for women out there, if you're like 5'9", I understand why you might want to date a guy taller. So this is not. We need to set some
parameters now, everybody. And there's a bigger conversation here too, which is that marriage formation is down. A lot of guys and a lot of women are taking themselves out of the sort of marriage formation pool. There are a lot of people who are, not pairing up, who say they want to. I'm not talking about if you choose you don't want to do it. If you want to become a monk, okay, wait. There's always exceptions. So please don't call and be like, I have been living in a monastery for 30 years and I love this life. It's like, I get it, okay? But for most people, we're going to exclude a few things. Because this is my friend Jedediah Bila was the one who shared out the data on this one. And Jedediah, she likes to, she was on The View. She was on Fox for many years. She likes to sort of give it tough to both sides, I would say, and in terms of the dating and the social stuff, to the guys, to the girls. And she just pointed this out, that there's the data has a real problem with this data now. And I want to argue that this is a new thing. I think it is a new thing, relatively new thing. Women who are saying, I won't date a guy shorter than me, that I get, so much so that I would say, I think maybe once or twice I was on a date with a woman who was basically my height. Didn't like it. I'm just a preference thing, everybody. You could say I'm not, you know what I mean?
I wouldn't date a woman who's 6'2". Like, it doesn't mean she's not attractive, but I wouldn't want to date a woman who's taller than me.
Yeah, like, I don't want to feel like she could beat me in a game of one-on-one. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not really what I'm looking for. So, but we're not talking about that. The data shows that 85% of women online, let me repeat this, 85% of women have a problem with and don't want to date a man who is 5'8" or shorter. And 5'8" is a very interesting metric because that is average height. People do
basically, right? It's 5'8", 5'9" is like the average guy's height.
I mean, okay, maybe it's 5'9", but like that is average male height.
Yes.
85% of women online say that they will not date a guy who is average or less than average height, and that excludes all other factors. I'm just going to say it. There's also a thing where men online, in terms of their rating of attractiveness of women, it's a bell curve. They think, if they think 20% of women, they're really not, 20%, 20%, oh, pretty good. I mean, and it goes all the way up to, oh my gosh, 20% amazing, like my dream woman, right? Women, it's like 70. Again, this is the data. Don't argue with me, okay? I'll give you the citations. This is millions and millions of swipes and data on Bumble, on OkCupid, on all the. Don't call in and say, well, I'm short or I'm tall. No. This is about what's happening in the aggregate, millions and millions of times across the country. Clay, I just got so excited I forgot where I was on this.
So, but this is my argument. I'm going to take it even further than you. So if you're angry about anything, you should reach out to Buck because he's responsible for all of these opinions. I actually think women.
I'm sorry. Wait, real quick. Yeah. Just I don't want to.
Yeah.
Women think that like 10 to 15% of men are good looking and all other men are ugly. That's what the data actually shows, which is insane. Again, men, it's a bell curve. Men live in the reality here of like, and also they're far more willing to go on a date. Women, now I understand biologically, you don't have to explain this, but Jordan Peterson could show up and tell me, like, I get it. They have to be choosier and there's a different thing and there's a different imperative with that. Fine. But 80% of guys are not ugly. You know what I mean? This is crazy.
So I think women are more, nobody will tell you this. I think I'm right on this. I think women are more selective of men in terms of what they must have than men are of women. In other words, let me explain this.
Clip that one and share that one out, team. I like it.
Here's my theory on this. Guys will fall in love with particular body parts on women. This is 100% true. Every guy has got
also
a guy
their personalities, Clay.
Yeah, okay. I'm talking about the first time they see them. Every guy has a friend who is obsessed with long legs. Every guy has a friend who likes butts. Every guy has a friend
he cannot lie.
Who likes. Yeah. Yes. Every guy has a friend who likes boobs. Other guys are like, I don't even care about anything else. All I want is a really pretty face. And you'll be like, that girl weighs 300 pounds. Be like, yeah, but she's got a really pretty face. Like, there are guys, whatever attribute you have as a woman, there are guys out there that are into it. There are people, Buck, who love feet. I don't even understand this. Like, have you seen her ankles? No, it's not 18.
That's not really for dating. That's a little bit of a different category, but sure.
I think there's feet. I think there's feet guys. Back in the day, by the way, this is funny. Do you know what was considered scandalous I used to give tours of the United States Capitol when I was in college. It was considered scandalous. This is amazing because the people who would sit in the gallery at the Senate and at the House, do you know how women would get men's attention who were on like the congressmen and the senators? How would they be alluring?
They show a little ankle? Is this like Saudi Arabia?
Ankle. They would show their ankles. And the men below would look up and they would be like, that is the best looking. I'm not even kidding about this. Like Sam Houston back in the day, he's on the floor there. Davy Crockett, they would be talking off the floor. They'd be like, did you see the set of ankles on Tilda in the front row of the House of Representatives? I'm telling you, this is men. There are men who are into everything. I don't think there is an equivalent for women, like the height thing. If you are short and bald, you better have an incredible job. You better be killing it, because a lot of women out there are like, yeah, I don't like his hair. He doesn't have any hair. I mean, this was the George Costanza thing back in the day. There is no equivalent for women of the short, bald man. And this ties in on your point about the whole dating app world has created an artificial worldview. Buck, I've been talking about this. I can't get over it. There are tons of successful women out there who are choosing, because they can't find a man, they are going to sperm donors and they're flipping through just picking a non-actual human, right, that they're going to interact with to have a baby with. The person is a human, but they're never going to interact with him, based solely on the data on the page. Like, hey, he got a 1,500 on the SAT and he went to Yale and he's 6'2" and he's got blue eyes and hair. That's my guy. And you never meet him because you're trying to create a version of a man that you can't meet in real life.
But also the height thing, is it diminishing returns too? Like, Do 7-footers clean up
Yeah, I
particularly?
think it's a diminishing return. I think
Right?
most women would say that the ideal height window is like 6 foot to 6'4". After 6'4", you become too tall and awkward and gangly for them. They want like 6 foot to 6'4". This is me analyzing women. And then you get too tall. But to your point, I saw you tweet this, and I do think it's the most important aspect here is it's the only thing, I guess baldness is the other. Height and baldness are the only thing you can judge someone for that they virtually have no control over. If a guy's like, hey, I was going to date her, but she's fat, people would be like, oh, can you get a load of him? Like if a guy on a dating app wrote no fat chicks, girls would be like, oh, can you can control your weight on some level. I was reading this morning, they now have the what's the peptides or whatever, the glutides, whatever that thing is.
GLP-1s?
Yeah, did you see Eli Lilly announced today they now have it in pill form? You're not even going to have to inject yourself on that stuff anymore. You can just take a pill, which will guarantee that you lose weight and eat less and everything else. But you can work and change everything by and large, except for hair and except for height. And it's the things women care about the most.
You've lined this up. I think that height is the most superficial metric that a person can care about. And yet all women have somehow become, and all women have and I say all women, I know not all of you, okay? Some of you are married to great guys who are 5'3", and that's wonderful. But this has become a thing in our culture, and I think, this is my theory, it's because of we're all sort of metrics and online obsessed now. It's about social media. It's about posting your boyfriend or your husband on Instagram, and he towers over you, and like there's this sense of, because I understand wanting a partner to be fit. I understand wanting a partner to be smart or to have an attractive face or to, all that stuff. Of course, this is dating, this is mating, that's how it goes. But to be like, I mean, there's actually a meme that was going, or a little video is going around, and it was of someone who was like a woman, and she's saying, he's 6'4", criminal record, no problem. Speaks no English, no problem. Like, and even the difference between, I think it was 6'1" and 6'4" was like, 6'1", I'll deal with your annoying, I'll deal with an annoying mother-in-law. Like 6'1", but 6'4", you may be an axe murderer, but I think we still have a drink. So are we crazy on this one? Let's take some calls from the ladies on this one. Do you agree with us, or do you think this is? Are you seeing this? Those of you who have daughters or granddaughters too, is it bigger among them than it was? Clay, you think about like a lot of the biggest actors, 5'8", Tom Cruise like 5'7". This is
but they have women that make them look bigger than they are. So yes, it's true. Like Tom Cruise, some of these guys are little. I think the best point you made is this is what the data shows. Like the anecdote doesn't really matter. I'm sure there are exceptions to the data, but it's actually quite clear that women are, I think, more judgmental of men's physical appearances than men actually are of women. I saw a funny meme yesterday too, by the way, on the same level. How much have you read, Buck, over the years about Barbie and unrealistic, like physical expectations for women?
Tons, yeah.
Barbie could have you ever seen an article about like He-Man or any number of basically Superman, superheroes? You ever seen a story about how unrealistic He-Man's body type and like Superman's body type is and how it is so destructive to young men?
Well, no, because He-Man would have to be on massive doses of trend.
Right. It's
steroids.
impossible to a large extent. Like Barbie's body is impossible. I've never seen anyone argue, oh, this is unfortunate for men. Like how in the world can they get out of bed? They have unrealistic expectations. I think we have a one-way street on a lot of this. Since 9/11, Tunnel to Towers Foundation, I was down with them playing golf a couple weeks ago, you guys know, and we raised millions of dollars because Frank Siller does such an amazing job. And back in October of last year, we raised millions of dollars for them at Liberty National. What I love about everything that they do at Tunnel to Towers is they take care of so many people who need to be taken care of because they have put their lives on the line for us. 95 cents of every dollar that you give to Tunnel to Towers goes to help a family in need. They've worked to pay off the mortgages of families that have lost loved ones so they don't have to lose their homes too. And 20 years after 9/11, more than 20 years after 9/11, they're still working to make sure that our men and women in uniform who put their lives on the line for safety and protection that we have their backs. Join Buck and me in donating $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. Again, Buck and I have both donated. You can join us right now by going to T2T.org. That's T, the number 2, T.org.